This is where the fun begins.
Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose.
King Kong ain't got shit on me!
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the
Everybody
procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
Say my name.
And here we go.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Grab your snacks, get the popcorn ready. It's about to get realish. I'm excited to be back and joined by my guys once again. On my left, we have the Podfather himself, Derrick Myers. And then, of course, we are being joined by one of the OGs of this realish game, my guy, Matthew Torado. How's it going, boys? How's it feel to be back in realish in 2024?
Yeah, feels great, bro.
Yeah.
Great to see you guys. It feels like it's been a second since we've recorded. So it's great to see you guys and Happy New Year, obviously.
Yeah. No, man, it's like it feels great. Like I said, I was so looking forward to doing this again with you guys, and to Derrick's point, it's been a hot minute, and I'm so excited to be getting back into the swing of things again, to be talking about, movies that we have a chance to watch and all that kind of stuff. So love you guys, man, and I'm just looking forward to another great episode to kick out the new year,
Yes, sir.
I love it. Starting to show all beautiful, just a warm embrace. It's only right that we kick off 2024 with immaculate vibes. But with all that being said, I'm really excited to introduce the show. Today, we're going to be taking a look back at 2023, talking about some of our favorite movies and TV shows that we watched last year. And then, of course, looking ahead to 2024 at some projects that we're really excited to talk about. And then finally, we'll dig into our feature presentation, which is one that I am very excited to talk about, not because I'm sure how the discussion's going to go, but excited nonetheless. We're going to be covering Rebel Moon Part 1. So really excited to get into that as well. But before, it's only right that we bore you with a little bit more pleasantries, but we got to let you guys know how you can find us, right? So first and foremost, make sure you're following the brand at OTS Media Co. on all social media platforms. OTS Media Co. on YouTube as well. Make sure that you're subscribed. Make sure that you're getting that notification bell ding so that whenever we're posting our awesome shows, you're getting notified. It's going to send right to you. But you could also find me at Negron MMA on Twitter as well as TikTok. Really excited to get back in the swing of things with that MMA production side of things, as well as the sideline guys in general. So keep your eyes out for that. And Derrick, why don't you let the people know where they can find you?
Yes, sir. You can follow me at Derrick_OTS. That's DERRICK. Black way to spell it.
Don't ever get it wrong, ladies and gentlemen. And Matt, where can they find you?
Yeah, of course, you can find me over on Instagram, Matt_T29.
Awesome.
And
So
eventually
make
I'll
sure
get
you're
these
plugged
guys
in.
on Facebook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is my New Year's resolution. I'm going to be diving deep into Facebook. These first 2 weeks of the year are going to be very hectic, but I promise this is not falling on deaf ears. We're going to get into the Facebook group and we're going to make some waves, God damn it, because you guys are having too much fun in there without me. I just gotta say, but
yeah, we are. Yeah.
So Matt, I'm throwing
Yes.
to you first because I'm really excited to hear what is the project that you feel deserves the attention of the masses from 2023 that you enjoy the most?
Man, that's a tough one. I think if we're going the TV route, I would have to say Barry, season 4, or just Barry in general. So this past year, the final season came out, I want to say back in April or Mayish, so springtime. It sort of marked the conclusion of what I thought to be a very phenomenal television series and arguably one of the best that I've ever seen. And my favorite way of getting people to try and watch the show is by telling them that it's about a hitman who wants to become an actor, because that's literally the premise for the first 2 seasons. And then it ends up becoming this ultra dark, you know, character, drama. Um, so it has a very interesting duality in that respect. Season one and two is very, comedic. Season three and four still has those comedic elements, but is done with an even more darker tone than the previous two. And I just think, the way Bill Hader, carried himself as a director and a lead actor was nothing short of amazing. And I think that, in due time, when he's given the opportunity to direct a movie, and I imagine he's going to do so very soon, I'll be the first one sitting in that theater because he is a phenomenal director on top of being a phenomenal actor as well. So yeah, I'll say Barry for sure.
That is awesome. I remember you recommending this to us too. I really need to check it out because honestly, I haven't really caught any buzz about it anywhere else. So it's one of those shows that are still kind of fresh for me, which I'm
Yeah.
always excited to dive into. So great shout on Barry. Derrick, throwing to you now, man. What falls into this 2023 best category for you?
Man, quite honestly, I think it's a few things that come to mind. Um, Mainly The Last of Us. I cannot begin to tell you mm, how much I felt with that show, like just as much as I did when I played the game. Well, both games, but mainly the first season being the first game. It brought back so many like experiences and memories from the game that made me want to go play the game again. Which I played the second one twice already. I'm trying to not play it the third time, but I'm gonna wait till season two comes out to do that. But season one was just amazing. And I think as well, I have to say that a film that I don't think a lot of people are gonna really talk about, but I think they should. If you guys didn't watch Leo on Netflix, you have to. You guys know I'm really big on animated films, right? And this one was actually done by Adam Sandler, which was amazing. He played a lizard in a school classroom. That's all
Mm,
I'm gonna say about it. He was the class pet, and it was a great story that just pulled you in from the jump. So I thought that was a very good movie that I actually wouldn't mind seeing more animated films from him, to be honest. I think that was one that was very intriguing.
Thank you, Derrick. I really like that. I saw a bunch of ads for that movie as well. Definitely haven't gotten a chance or found an excuse, right? I feel like with certain movies like that, I'm like, damn, I need to watch this with my girl or something, right? Like I can't just watch this by myself.
Yes, you
But
can.
that definitely. Oh, really? Awesome,
I swear
awesome.
on everything. You really can, because it's not one of those shows like, I mean, movies. It's not a movie that makes you feel as if it's like childish or anything like that. It's just one of those movies that you can just enjoy. Like you can enjoy by yourself. I watched it with Mariah, but you can easily watch it by yourself. It was a great movie.
Awesome. Awesome.
Great movie.
I'll definitely be looking to check that out. I just want to say you took my thunder here, man. If there's anything that this segment has taught me is that I need to be much more diligent in actually watching new things, right? Because I feel like the
Yes.
majority of the time I'm either watching old things that I've been hearing about, right? That I just haven't gotten to get around to, or I'm watching new things and then I'm realizing, how shit, these guys took my thunder. They already said what I was gonna say.
yeah.
But just to give that double shout out, I just got to say, The Last of Us. It was very anticipated by me, considering being around the video game series and looking forward to it. And honestly, it really exceeded my expectations as far as a
Yeah.
TV show adaptation and what could be done, right? Because um, nothing worse than having media sort of take away from things that you love. To watch that experience and really feel like it was another supplementary, um, really cool section of media next to the video game series, instead of me looking at it almost in spite, like, oh, they ruined it for me, right? So
Right,
I
right.
love that there was some key differences, but also it's still very true to the video game. So that would be my pick for 2023, The Last of Us, just kicking ass and taking names. But given that I've got a repeat, it's only right that I start off our discussion looking forward, right, to 2024. There's a lot of different, so many different directions we could take this, right? But I'm gonna give two little shout outs. One that I'm actually pretty excited about, and then the other, which plays into my fandom, right? So I'll start Mad Max, right? Furiosa. We're getting a new installment in the Mad Max series.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for it. I feel like um, some of my formative moments as a filmmaker
Hmm.
happened around when Mad Max first released, and sort of being a part of that, looking at it as a filmmaker, right, and digesting it. So really excited for the next installment in that series. And then another one that once again speaks to my fandom here. I'm going with the Roadhouse remake. This is the third try now,
Yes.
where they're
Yeah.
trying to remake this movie. And in general, I'm not a fan of the remake culture, right? But
Yeah. Yeah.
saw the actual recording with Jake Gyllenhaal during a UFC event, right? They actually
Oh
showed some
yeah.
snippets of it
Yeah.
during the event. The dude looked in absolute phenomenal shape for the part, and the
Yeah.
actual fight scene actually played out looking pretty cool too. So I'm interested to see how that all comes to bear actually on the screen. But one of those films that I'm hoping is really good, but not too sure it's going to live up to expectations in that way. But those are two big projects I'm looking forward to 2024. Derrick, why don't you let us know how you feeling about 2024?
2024 is gonna be big, man. One of the movies I'm really excited about is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. That's one that that Planet of the Apes series has been phenomenal. And y'all saw the last one, right? I didn't want to say anything with if it ruined anything for you guys.
Mhm.
Did you guys see the last one?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I forgot Caesar died.
How
So
dare you?
I
How
was
dare you?
literally sitting here. I saw the promo for it. And I said, wait. Caesar's got a pet? Like, what is going on here? And then Jonathan was like, "Hey man, I hate to break it to you, but that ain't Caesar." And then I remember I was like, "Oh snap, yeah, he's dead and gone." So I'm looking forward to seeing the new story that's coming out for this movie, because I want to see if they're going to be able to make a whole new trilogy for it. I'm kind of curious as to where they what the direction they're going in with this one. Um, there was there was another one I forgot what it was called. What it was. Oh, A Quiet Place. Quiet Place is coming out later on this summer, so that one's gonna be really good. Um, but yeah, I think Deadpool 3. That's the other one I'd say. I'm looking forward to a lot of films coming out this year. Actually, and season 2 House of the Dragon. That one
Ooh.
Oh.
is,
Mm.
man, when I tell you I am too pumped. I'm about to go ahead and I think it comes out this summer. So I'm trying to like uh, uh um schedule it to where I can watch season 1 right before season 2 comes out, so I can get the refresher and actually dive back into the story. But I'm really looking forward to that movie, that series coming back. That was, I said, I thought with just being one season, House of the Dragon is already better than Game of Thrones. So I think that they'll be able to live up to that, because my anticipation is that they're not going to make the same mistakes with this series as they did with Game of Thrones, which was to rush the last season or two. The story pacing of it made sense. So I'm assuming
Mm.
that they're going to go and do that one the right way and actually give us a project that's worth watching, because the last part of Game of Thrones was just horrible. So I'm looking forward to
And,
that.
and if I can anger you, just a reminder that the showrunners were greenlit to have 10 seasons and they declined. So just wanna
Aye. Good.
throw that out there. So
Good, good. Well, see, and that's the thing. I think we're in a day and age where we don't need 10 seasons of a show. If you at max do 5, I think you're good because it allows you to actually pace your story and not let it get saturated. Like for example, I don't think The Last of Us is going to be more than 4 seasons because I'm assuming that you're going to bring on the part 2 of the game for season 2, and you're going to probably chop that into 2 or 3 seasons, and then after that we'll see what happens. If The Last of Us 3 comes out as a game, then maybe they'll do the series with that, or launch it coinciding with it. But I wouldn't mind seeing them not do too much. Just all you need is just 3 or 4 seasons, 5 max of a series. You're good. So if as long as they're not gonna do 10, I'm totally on board with that.
yeah. Well, I meant for Game of Thrones. For Game of Thrones, HBO
Oh,
approached it. Yeah, for Game of Thrones. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
oh, I'm
Game of Thrones
sorry.
approached
I thought
that.
you were talking
Yeah,
about
yeah,
House of Dragon. Okay.
yeah. You know, you're all good. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Then never mind. That was a useless rant.
Uh, no,
What
you're
about
all
you,
good.
Matt? That you looking forward to?
Yeah, I think so. I do want to go back because I just remember there was one movie I wanted to shout out, and that was Godzilla minus zero,
Okay.
which is made with a $15 million budget around there. And I kid you not, it's easily the best Godzilla movie ever made. Um,
Really?
yeah, what the director accomplished with so little money, was astonishing to me. If you were to told me that was a $100 million blockbuster, I would have believed you because nothing about the way that film was crafted suggested that it was less than that amount of money, you know?
Hmm.
And I think what that movie does far better than the typical Godzilla movies is that they actually give depth to the human characters,
Okay.
and having it be set during World War II, where you sort of have the main character going to this inner conflict. I don't want to like give away too much, but he's going to this like inner conflict and sort of wondering, you know, like what his places in the world, having regrets over his past decisions, things of that nature, sort of like him going out of the way to sort of sacrifice himself potentially for the greater good, all that sorts of stuff. But then the surrounding cast is obviously very, funny. They bring like really good energy. Main cast had energy, had really good chemistry, and um, yeah, it was really great. And also that was like one of the few foreign films I've seen this past year as well. So it was refreshing to sort of watch something that didn't release in the United States because it's a rarity for it to have as wide of a theatrical release as it did. Um, and yeah, just a really remarkable movie that if it does drop on streaming at some point, I would definitely recommend it because it definitely deserves its praise. And yeah, so I definitely want to mention that. And then I
How did you
think
watch it, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah.
actually Regal had it
Oh,
for a little
okay.
while. I was walking through, I forgot what movie I watched. Um, and I honestly can't remember which one it was, but I was walking out of there, and then I just saw on the poster that like it was like showing. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I ended up seeing it like a week or two later, because a friend of mine wanted to go see it. I was like, yeah, cool, let's go. And then we had a blast. We were like utterly shocked at how good it was. So yeah,
I've
Awesome. I'm
never.
glad too you shielded yourself from telling the truth about how you went and saw multiple movies at the same time with the same ticket. I love it. You gotta make it look better for the show. God damn it! But really cool that like you said that they showed it in theaters here in America. I haven't even heard of it to be honest, so
Yeah.
I want to check it out.
yeah, for sure. And then I think going forward into 2024, I honestly can't think of any movies that are coming out in 2024. To be totally honest with you, and maybe that's just to my ignorance, and maybe it's because like because I think studios have a tendency to like, and this isn't a bad thing, but they always say, "Oh, like this movie is gonna release in like November 2024." I guarantee I'm not gonna find out you even said that until like a month before you
Comes out.
put a trailer out. You know what I mean? But just going off of recent memory, there are two shows on Amazon Prime that are coming out this year. The first was Mr. and Mrs. Smith with Donald Glover, who's also executive producing. So it's a
Yeah.
remake-ish of the Brad Smith and Angelina Jolie movie. Um, and I think it has a chance of being significantly better because one, given the television format, they actually have Sarah Paulson, Paul Dano, and I think a couple other very recognizable actors who are in there. And then I don't know, the premise is very entertaining. And then I think the lead actress I think has been an executive producer and a writer for a very long time. So I think it'll lend itself to being a very, you know, good watch, I imagine. And then the other one was a Fallout. So it's an adaptation of the Fallout video game. And I think given that it's being overseen by the showrunner of um Jonathan Nolan, I believe. And obviously they had the main creator of the game back behind it. The entire premise lends itself to being a very sort of um weird, zany, but entertaining experience with a good cast of compelling characters, I think. And the first trailer was really great too. Gave us some throwback music, and it's also set like 200 years after nukes dropped down on the entire world. So I think that premise alone is inviting for anybody who, wants a sci-fi-esque show with, crazy stuff happening. So it should be a very great show, I think.
I never played any of
Awesome,
those
man. And just to
games.
feed off of that real quick too, I think the Borderlands movie is also coming out too. So another
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
video game movie to
Yeah.
look forward to. And then there was one more too, and now I just fucking completely forgot. I'm just a terrible human being. The Wicked, they're making a Wicked movie based off of I'm sure the screenplay. So interested to see. I
Oh
actually got
yeah.
the chance to go to see Wicked this past year,
Oh,
so
nice.
kind of refreshing the timing there. Going to be able to see that film and see how it stacks up, right? So a little honorable mention, had to throw it in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Sorry about
And
that, Derek.
no, you're
No,
all
no,
good.
you're
And
good.
see,
I haven't seen it, so I don't know. I don't have any like
Mm.
connection to it. So I
yeah.
gotta check that out.
And see, Chris, that's exactly why I'm glad you said that because announced it like at the beginning of last year, and I had no idea it was coming out until you until you just until you said that it was. So,
They probably forgot
um,
too. Yeah, they
Yeah, yeah.
probably
yeah,
forgot
it's
too.
like, oh
They're
man,
With
working
that
on.
strike.
where'd that 200 mil go to? Oh man, yeah, we gotta start marketing this thing.
Yeah.
Gotta get that money back.
Yeah, that strike messed a lot of things up. Um, I want to actually throw out a couple of honorable mentions as well. Um, I'm intrigued. Not sure that I'm really looking forward to it, but I'm intrigued by Craven the Hunter. Because my hope for the film was that he was going to be like a bigger guy, and it doesn't look like he looks like he just finished doing Taibo or something. Like he looks mad slim as for Craven, and it doesn't feel like the Craven in, like, let's say Spider-Man 2 the game, or
Mhm.
even like in the comic book. So I'm intrigued to see how they're going to actually shoot that film. But that, and then Joker 2, though, that's another one. And Mufasa. So those are the films I'm
Okay.
really looking forward to as well.
This is why I'm glad we had these conversations because again, I literally forgot like half of these movies
Yeah.
were coming out. But it also goes to show that we have I mean, a bunch coming out
Oh
within
yeah.
really a few months of each other too. So that'll
Yeah.
keep us busy. And then there was one movie I literally had on the back of my mind. I totally forgot. Um, yeah, never mind. It'll probably come back to me after we get to the next segment. That's all right. Um,
No worries,
That's
bro.
well, there's no better time, right? There's no better time to
yes.
look forward. Shout out to you guys. A lot of things that I wasn't even aware of that I now have on my radar. But it's only right now that we pivot and move in to our featured presentation for the night. Once again, we have Rebel Moon Part One, A Child of Fire. Why don't you take us away, Matt? Why don't you tell us a quick synopsis of what Rebel Moon is all about?
Yeah, sure. If this beautiful IMDb page will be cooperative, I'll happily read it off. its synopsis. So, when a peaceful settlement on the edge of a distant moon finds itself threatened by the armies of a tyrannical ruling force, a mysterious stranger living among its villagers becomes their best hope for survival. And it stars none other than Sofia Boutella, Charlie Hunnam, and a number of surprisingly very recognizable actors who have collaborated with Zack Snyder in the past as well. And yeah, I think no better way to give our opinions than to ask the most obvious question. What were your thoughts about the movies, my friends? What were your thoughts? Were you leaning? Was it good? Was it bad? Are you looking forward
Okay,
to part
so
two?
I am gonna force myself to be first here because it seems like I'm the only one that kind of enjoyed this movie. Um, so I thought overall this movie did something that we talk about a lot on this show that we don't like, right? Which is telling me, right, instead of showing me. This
Mhm.
this film did a lot of that, which obviously we don't like. But I thought it had some redeeming qualities. I thought obviously following Cora's character from the start and getting to know more about her, she is the most interesting thing in this entire film, if you ask me. And I still feel like I don't adequately understand who she is or
Yeah.
what she has been through. But she has told us that whatever it is, she will not be able to love again. Um, which is bullshit because she was kind of feeling on my guy Gunner and also
Yeah.
why was I gonna call him King? What was his name? The guy that ends up betraying them at the end. What is his name?
Kai.
Uh, Kai, yes,
Right.
King Kai. That's
Yeah.
why I called him that. DBZ
Yeah.
references, god damn it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just as far as like the flow of the movie itself, I thought I enjoyed the fact that this obviously is set with some futuristic undertones, right? We're talking about intergalactic space travel here, but they didn't lean into that overtly as a crutch almost. Obviously, there was a lot of cool world building in different areas, different parts of the galaxy that were shown to us that were very distinct, right? That didn't feel like they were a part of the same world, so to speak, which I thought they did a good job of. Um, I thought also sort of getting to that moment of sort of recruitment, right? This kind of felt very much like a let's get the band together movie, right? We gotta
Hmm.
get the band
Mm-hmm.
together so we could go um embark on our final mission here. I thought each one of those little side quests, right, put us in a really cool spot to learn a little bit more about um, the what we're actually going up against, right? What Core is actually facing um, alongside this new home planet that she's living on. But I just really didn't like how, once again, how vague everything's kind of feels, right? Like I feel like even having watched the full film, I can't really explain it very well just because we're very much so thrown into the middle of um, basically this planet's government being overthrown right as soon as the
Right.
movie starts
Right.
um, and that part I thought was pretty self-explanatory. It's all Gunner's fault that the guy died. I'm just saying, Gunner, you had to open your fucking mouth, right? I mean, we were gonna end up there at some point, right? You could kind of feel the tension building to that. Um, but I thought Noble as a villain wasn't even particularly kind of like scary necessarily, right? Like, or um,
Right.
it didn't necessarily make me feel like he was a threat in his own right. It was more so the entire forces behind him, right? The huge mothership that
Hmm.
he comes to war with, god damn it.
Yeah.
But overall, I just feel like as a concept, like that's what I really enjoyed about this film. Like I thought the concept of it was very cool. I thought the way that information was given wasn't necessarily the best. I feel like there's a lot of characters that are main characters, right? That I still don't really have an understanding of how they ended up in this situation or like why they ended up in this situation.
Right.
And I'm gonna be honest here about my ignorance. I'm not sure if this series is like an adaptation of a book or something like that. I'm not necessarily sure. But to me, it kind of felt like if this was part one of a two-parter series, we why didn't we just kind of like change the order of the way we did this and make it into one movie? Like I feel like the majority of this first movie was, hey, let's do this side quest so that we can do this side quest so that we can be ready to fight the main opposition. And then that battle we were looking forward to, we get, but it's not
Mm.
even the way we thought we were going to get it, right? It turns out that Kai was a piece of shit, which, funny enough, as soon as that happened, right? As soon as that bar scene took place, I already knew that this guy was not to be trusted. But hey, let's just follow this dude out the bar, right? Why not?
Yeah.
Um, but once again, clearly, there's a lot of negative aspect that I'm sure we're going to get to in world building really made me question and look forward to learning a lot of information, right? Especially about, like, for example, um the king's forces who have passed away, right? The robots that exist in this world, their role in society and how it has changed over time. Like, that's a storyline I'm actually invested in, that
Mhm.
I thought, just based on how cool those moments were, would have been a bigger part of this first film, right? So, um, if anything, the good parts of this film made me really crave other stuff, right? Made me wish that they did things a little differently. But overall, I didn't leave this outraged as I have in
Mm.
some other movies that we have watched. But I'll throw to whoever's ready to catch it on this one. I thought overall, Rebel Moon, uh, a very solid film, a film that visually did the damn job. Like, we could just say that. Storytelling wise, we need some goddamn help. But I'll let you guys take it away from
Yeah.
there.
I think so this is purely like this is a Zack Snyder original idea. Everything. So I think that is the movie's greatest weakness, is that Snyder is notorious for having flashy visuals and interesting ideas, but having poor execution. It is something that, in my opinion, he just hasn't been able to overcome. And I honestly think that whether it be this movie or even you can reflect back on some of his other works, if he had just given that script writing opportunity to someone who knows how to put together stories, who knows how to craft interesting characters, then we'd be talking about not just a movie, right? We're talking about a really great movie that can compete with the likes of, similar ones in this genre. But I think this reflecting back, like the movie is just so generic and unfulfilling. And it's funny you mentioned sort of the game, like getting the band together, and you think about something like the Magnificent Seven, in all those movies, right? Where each of those characters have a unique skill, right? And they're put to use. In this movie, we go from a new person to another person to another person and then to another person, and we never see their respective abilities used in combat. Like in the final confrontation scene with the main villain, they're all just either shooting at the soldiers or the swordswoman just pull out her sword and kill two people, you know? And Korra as a character, I think, has a chance to be compelling, but when she delivers all of her backstory in expositional dialogue, it's hard for me as an audience member to actually necessarily care what she's going through. Like, if this first movie was about her being a soldier of the mother world, and then realizing, hey, being daughter to this madman, I need to find a way to step up to him and find a way to rebel against what my father has created, what my father has done to planets across the entire galaxy. I think that would creep into part two and then a part three, if anything. And to your point, Chris, like this movie is just being told in the weirdest order. Like, if it was building up to that climactic battle instead of a battle where, most obviously, because as an audience member, we knew a part two was coming out. So when the villain dies in the end, like it's very obvious that he was going to return in some capacity. And I just think that even the way he went about dying was just idiotic. Like, why wouldn't you just like smash his head in like he did Sindri in the beginning of the movie to confirm that he's gone, you know? And even if he dies in that way, the next movie would still end up being about her father swooping in to locate her, you know? And there are just a lot of like really like illogical moments in the movie as well, like in the beginning where obviously Cora saves that girl in the barn, and then obviously she kills all of them, everything like that. So that's not like the illogical part. But the illogical part is like I'm assuming they'd have to be in communication with the mother world to inform them about how their progress is going. Like, hey, like are the villagers doing their task and growing these crops so that we can, protect them. Like it's a partnership, not really a partnership. They're like they're basically dominating them, right? Telling them you have to do this, otherwise, we're going to destroy everything. But like in hindsight, you still have to communicate with them. Hey, how's progress going? Do you have enough supplies? Stuff like that. So I think the moment those people die, like wouldn't have the mother world has been very suspicious that none of their men are communicating with them and to send troops down to see what went down. And then obviously like, hey, they're not here. Okay, it's very clear that is gonna happen. So I don't know. It's just the movie was just it was generically bad, and I don't know. I was just kind of disappointed with the experience because going in, like knowing what Snyder has obviously went through on a personal, professional level. I'm someone who wants to support him, and obviously I respect anybody who wants to make an original idea. But judging it solely on the merits of the movie is very clear that it just, in my opinion, it just wasn't a very good one in the end. So yeah.
Real quick before I let you hop in here, Derek, I just also wanted to mention I actually thought that that part at the end, as far as we see them arriving right in the general area, but we don't see them actually get back. I think that was really cool because it could lead to some explanation. Now, once again, I'm hoping for something here, right? I'm
Mhm.
hoping for them to maybe get there and find, oh shit, they did actually come here already before we got back. But once again, kind of unlikely considering that battle with Noble as well there. But I like the room, right? Like setting up for these potential things. Once again, when you have unlimited sort of thoughts and ideas of how these different ways could go, it's like, okay, well, if you set it up that way and we're not actually seeing them fully arrive, that's really cool. But I didn't like that in that same vein, they actually showed Noble being revived. First of all, I thought it was really weird that they never really gave an explanation of what the fuck is going on with Noble. We got the battery chargers right going into the sides here, and then
Yeah,
we have the
yeah,
snake thing. Like I don't know what
yeah,
to make of any of that, right? But the same way I enjoyed them arriving and not necessarily getting back to camp yet, I really dislike the fact that we already all knew that probably Noble is going to be alive, and we saw him not only resurrected, but also as a point of, once again, as a point of exposition to say, oh, yeah, actually, that is my daughter, and I am the king of this realm that everyone hates because we are imperialistic fucks, right? So, once again, just speaking to these different dynamics,
Yeah.
when you have all these moments where it's like, oh, you could have did this, you could have did that. I think we're drawing at straws to try to find a way to save this. But
yeah.
I'll let Derek take over with that thought.
So, my biggest problem with this movie, um, is something you guys didn't even bring up. How is it that this? How is it that Cora, as a girl, as a child, watched her family and planet get destroyed, and yet is taken to live with this commander and is adopted by him and legitimately like ingratiates herself into their society. I get the survivor's mentality type thing, but that was so weird because you're talking about a child that wasn't like too young to remember what happened. She desperately like wants some type of closure, I guess, for that point of her life. but at the same time did nothing to avenge her family's death or the destruction of her
Mm.
planet. That part for me, like when they revealed that part of it, I was thrown because I know how I would have approached it if I watched my planet get destroyed. You know what I'm saying? As a young child, I see
Yeah.
my family. You see what I'm saying? Like that made no sense to me. So from that point on, I was already thrown off. Um, but yeah, I like one of my that was one of my biggest issues with it. But another problem that I had with it was that this kind of like, and you spoke about it earlier, Matt, but the storytelling that Zach does not do with his movies is just kind of like, come on, man. Like I gave him a pass with the whole Justice League, right? Because this you're doing an adaptation from material that's there. You should be able to build from that and be able to create this world and that everyone loves, right? It's not that hard of a task, which he did. He did a great job. The Snyder cut was amazing. But when you're starting a story from scratch, what is like you can't be all over the place like this. And it
Mhm.
kind of reminded me, and I hate taking shots at him almost at every point that I can, but this felt very Tyler Perry-esque. It was like
Did not
I,
expect that one.
I'm sorry. But it felt like that because he has the same issue where the story just it like you see the potential with it, but because there's nobody else that's like in the room to help develop the story, it's like it falls flat because there's not enough perspectives and not you do too much with certain characters. We're staying in one place too much, right? Too long, I should say. That's what I felt with this. That was the same thing I kind of experienced with this film, and I think it kind of like it followed the whole timeline of an action film, right? Like we're more so paying attention to the action sequences and the storytelling of the film is not there. And I actually thought something was going on with my because I watched it on my computer. I thought something was going on with my computer. Why the hell was this so blurry? I had to actually look it up because I was like, this it doesn't make any sense that this movie is blurry, right? No, that was the style he wanted. He wanted a distorted retro look, using the anamorphic lens and all that other stuff. And it's just like it didn't lend itself any justice because when you're talking about a day and age where you're watching films on 4K TVs or screens, what are you doing? Like you're not taking advantage of the technology
Yeah.
there that I think also would have added more character to the action sequences. I'm gonna be completely honest. Nothing about those action sequences made me feel like, oh, this is mind blowing, even if the story wasn't good. The whole
Yeah.
I forgot the name of that one character, but the guy that was breaking that animal in or training that animal type thing to get
To
out of
rock.
his deal.
Yeah.
Yes. When whatever that bird was dropped him off, quote unquote, onto that cliffside. He starts running. Uh, Was that not the slowest action run you've seen outside of The Rock?
It was on purpose though, right? Like it was slow mo, right?
So
To
here's the
show
thing:
that.
the slow motion, yes, I get the slow motion technique. I get the
But the
execution was not
yeah,
there.
the build up to the slow motion was
It's like
you
It
he
understand
wasn't
it.
there.
ran knowing it was supposed to
He
be in
was
slow
it was being
motion.
slow
So
motion,
and you
which
want to know what's
we
crazy?
saw
That
the
happens a
same
lot.
thing at the
Yeah.
end. Yes,
Yeah.
the what's his name? Blood Axe, I think his name was. Which I
Yep.
didn't realize this was Ray Fisher. I didn't. This is Cyborg from Justice League. I didn't realize that was him until I looked at IMDb.
Yeah.
I, I didn't realize that was him. But his run up that crane or whatever that was, it's like Zach told him, "Hey, I need you to run like this so we can capture all of this the cinematic build behind you from the every angle. They shot 3 angles of him running. That is the weirdest thing I have ever seen with an action sequence. I don't get it. I don't understand. Like, it's everything was laid out for Zach in this movie. Everything. You had the cast, you had the budget
Clearly.
clearly. What happened? Nothing about this movie made me sit here like I need to see part 2.
Yeah, if anything,
You see what I'm
probably made you
saying?
say the opposite. You're like,
I
do
was
I
like,
really
yeah,
want
I'll y'all catch me up on it. That was a
to?
horrible execution that I thought it was everything was there. Everything was there like
Yeah,
for him to execute this beautifully, and I didn't get that with this. And you can't say we need a Snyder cut. You can't say
and
that.
and you know what? There are a lot of great points you brought up, and just to go off of that one, he said there's going to be a R-rated director's cut that's 3 hours long, but
Oh God.
my frustration with that and and those who sort of defend that approach is, why would you purposely release an inferior version of your movie? You know what I mean? Like, I've never heard a
Right.
director's cut is usually when a director goes back, looks at, looks back at the main release and says, let's see let's improve on some of this elements, strip some scenes down. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like, a lot of the times, like, director's cuts are technically made after assembly cuts. Like, assembly cuts are
Right.
usually, depending on the scale of the project, you're looking at 4 to 5 hours. Director's cuts are usually, you get it trimmed down to three,
Mm-hmm.
depending on if you feel like you could have everything, and then the studio comes in and says, "Hey, we have a mandate of 2.5 hours. Fix it." You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
So he has his director's cut made. You know what I mean? And he technically secured that R rating. So why would you again release a 2 hour version of that? And I think also, even during the action sequences, you can tell the camera cuts away way too fast.
Way
And
too
I
fast.
honestly
Yeah.
think that he had the R rating in mind. So my only assumption is that because he went through with that approach, Netflix told him, "Hey, you know what? If you're doing that, make it PG-13, and then you can do whatever you want for in your director's cut. You can make it R rated or whatever the case may be." But I don't know. It was just, and the action sequences too. The use of slow motion was so. There were times where, like, I literally was saying in the back of my mind, like, "We're come on, slow motion," and there you
Yeah.
go. They're using it, and they're using it again, and it's just like, have everything be in real time.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to the use of slow motion, but when it's done as much as he used it in this movie, like, the most unnecessary one was when she flipped that guy in the bar. I'm like, why are you doing that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't do
Yeah.
slow motion there. Just
Yeah.
use it in full speed, and I don't know. It feels like it was like, hey, I want to be cool. You want those cool slow motion? People are gonna love this. I
Yeah.
really don't think there was like there's no narrative reason for slow motion. You know what I mean? It maybe is meant to sort of like to literally slow things down so that as an audience we
Mm-hmm.
can digest it. But a lot of what Snyder was doing, and you brought up in the action sequences, it's not like the action sequences were too they weren't really engaging because one, I didn't necessarily care for the characters themselves, but then two, it was a lot of just like people standing still, a lot of just like even like the spider scene, like the spider design was really cool. The spider lady, that was a really cool design. But she's in there for like 2 seconds and then she's just like it's just I don't know. The choreography was kind of
The fight choreography
generic,
was
you know what I mean?
trash. That
It was
was
just trying to fit
trash.
so much in, right? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
trying to and in trying to do that, like everything felt surface level. Like everything
Right.
felt like I don't have an actual true understanding of why this would be important, but
Yeah.
somehow they wanted that weight to still exist and it just didn't. Um I think once again, because I'm the only one that feels this way. I think what made it sort of redeemable for me at least was in keeping with the entire sort of flow of the film once we got to the part where Kai throws them over and sort of, like there was a real element here, right? And then all of that gets taken away the second right after, when we see, oh yeah, well actually, we could figure this out right here, because you would think everyone is there with their guns ready. When Gunner pulled out that little reversal, he would have got blasted, but no, not at all, right? Everyone was
Yeah.
just watching idly.
Yeah.
So I just hate how everything is set up to be this grand moment. Like, and this is why I brought it up, because you were talking about the scene with Nemesis and that spider. Everything is set up to be this grand moment. In the middle of the fight, we're finding out why this spider has this child hostage.
Right.
And we still
Right.
didn't really get an answer for that, right? But
Yeah.
we're figuring out why this battle is happening as it's unfolding, and the magnitude of, once again, what will, I still don't even know what we're really fighting against, or why. It once again just felt like the recruitment drive, right? We need to get this guy, we need to show them that they are this person because they can do this. And I still don't have an idea of why Cora is exceptional compared to everyone else around her, right? As far as being able to be in these different combative scenarios and just be completely superior to everyone else. I mean, we get the idea that she was trained and a part of this at some point, but what makes her special, what makes her tick, none of that is ever really given to us, um,
Right.
in a way that makes it feel tangible. The way it's given to us is, I can do this, and it's because you now you know I was a
Right.
part of this. When it's like,
Right.
once again, what makes her special from everyone else, that she could beat everyone's ass. This guy that was the biggest threat, she could smoke him too, and do that same fucking patented arm drag move, which is clearly her finisher, right? Um, that fucking arm drag into arm break. Um,
Yeah.
what about her in general makes her special enough to do that when everyone else is quaking in their fucking boots around these people? It just doesn't make sense and makes everything fall short. But I really did think, if they focused really solely on these characters, and we never even got to a point of being overthrown here, by the time we're coming back and we get there, right? If we got a full idea of who these people were, why they were at the point in their life they were when we met them, and then we all end up back where we were, we just fixed the fucking movie, right? We have a redeemable film. But unfortunately, that's not what was given to us.
I just realized I'm muted. My fault. I and even like the ending, and Chris, you brought up really a lot of great points too. It was like the ending itself, like would it have been cool? I think if anything, the ending should be them coming back, and then they see the entire like village devastated, or something to that effect. You know what I mean? They see like a whole village consumed, and the only survivor being that robot, who, by the way, I started laughing so hard because he saves the girl, runs away, and doesn't appear for the rest of the movie. And about 10 minutes in, I just started laughing hysterically because I'm like, where did this guy go? Like, where did he go? And I watched there's like a part two preview, and I'm assuming he's gonna be like a more integral character and stuff. But again, like the Grace's point, that the only interesting character is a robot. And ironically,
Yeah.
all the characters in this movie are robots because they're just very dull. And again, it's just like they're just people. Like they're not really interesting, and any chance of them being interesting is through backstory. But realistically, and honestly, because I kind of wanted the movie to end, um, I like reached the point where just keep moving forward, because at this point I don't want them to like have a flashback of like, well, years ago, my the mother will destroyed my home, and I'm very angry about it, and all that kind of. I was like, no, let's move on. At that point, I was just like, I already know what you're going with. Just keep moving. And then I think the other thing too is also have probably the worst editing moment I've ever seen. And that was Kai's death. I
Yo.
literally, so I'm not sure if you guys
Yeah.
like were also confused with the way that was cut, I
Yeah.
had no idea what happened within that 2 second frame. He shoots the trigger. At least I doubt he did. And for context, everybody, there is like this sort of like bounty machine that has like this sort of needle gun that can sort of like basically instant kill somebody or incapacitate them, uh, if the person so desired. And like I I'm pretty sure he shot the gun.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And then it cuts to like Kai with I'm forgetting his name, but the person like holding him at gunpoint. I hear a shot, and then it just cut like rapidly. So I was
Yeah.
after that scene happened, like what? Wait, I'm like, what just happened? You know what I mean? Like I was just like,
I thought they showed it like rev up as if he was gonna kill Cora, and then you see him go like that, and then it comes out, and then he turns around, and actually you see it like go to his neck, which is for some reason the signature move of everyone in this movie as well, right? Like, so I don't know if we got confused about the same reasons, but I also was kind of like, how was it that easy versus like what happened? Like, I got a sense of what happened, but what happened wasn't satisfactory either. So
Right.
okay,
Well, I
okay,
mean,
so that makes more sense because again, I thought that's why I was like confused in that moment because maybe I just like looked away for a quick maybe I looked away for a quick second and then I looked back and I was like, what happened? But the way I interpreted it again was like he for some reason still shot the chair and then grabbed Kai's gun
no, no,
like
no, no.
from him. But unless I completely misread that scene, but again, it was just and maybe I'll take that criticism back because maybe it was just me literally just spacing out in that moment. So, but
No,
yeah,
it was
that,
very
can't
weird,
blame
but it
you.
was that he took the gun out of the portal, whatever it is,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
swung it around real fast under Kai's chin to shoot him under the chin. What
Okay.
what was weird about it though was that for some odd reason they didn't want to show his death. They sh- we've seen everybody else die, but this one you just cut away because I
Yeah,
guess it was like what too brutal.
I
This was
assume
too
so.
brutal.
Yeah, probably the R rating. Yeah, that would have been the
I,
R rating. I presume. Yeah. Okay,
I
that
don't
makes
know,
sense.
man.
That makes
I
sense
don't
then.
know.
But
That was I did find that very weird though because it made no sense that you hear the gun go off, but you don't see it, and then what you cut to is pandemonium.
Mhm.
Like
right.
I,
Like cars
it's
keeping a chair
it's
and then
yeah, it's so weird. But I will say this though, because I've been wanting to talk to you guys about this for a while, and I think it encompasses this film perfectly. But I actually went back and watched the entire Mission Impossible series, uh, from like Thanksgiving, beginning of November to around Thanksgiving break, and it's so I could watch the very last one that came out, but I'm not renting it yet. So, um, but the common thread that I found that I started seeing with that was what I felt with this film, and it's that I'm starting to wonder if action films are overrated because it seems to be one of those things where action films, I get their purpose, but why is it that we give them this pass without, like for not developing the story at all? So for example, Mission Impossible, right? There is no through line for that series until you get to 3 to 4. The only thing
yeah.
that you know is that he's an IMF. Ethan Hunt is an IMF, and he's a spy. That's pretty much it. There is no through line until you get to 3 to 4 where you're talking about his ex-wife. And I'm finding myself with like watching that and I'm like, why is it the character development isn't there? Why is it that the storyline development isn't the same as you would see in a drama or even a thriller, right? I think like those films have great development in their story and for their characters. And I'm starting to like when I was watching this film, I got bored. like I legitimately got bored watching this because I'm not captivated enough, right?
Right.
And I I tried my best to not look at my phone and stuff like that because I knew we were studying this film to discuss it for this episode. But do you guys think that we are in a time where action films are okay to not have this development? Or do you think that we need to get to a point where there is still considerable development for these films, especially if you're going to have a franchise? Because especially with Rebel Moon, right? Rebel Moon is setting it up itself up to be something that could be a 3 to 4 part type of a series. And if that's the case, should it not have a development to it to make you care?
Yeah. I'll put it this way. I think I care I care I'd rather there be more development than a movie trying to develop characters and not doing well with it.
Mm-hmm.
An example that I like to use is John Wick. Realistically, John Wick as a character is not he's a memorable protagonist because of his fighting ability.
Mm-hmm.
And because that franchise lends itself to having I can't remember his last name, but Chad um I can't remember his name. But I think both of you know the John Wick director I'm referring to, Chad somebody. But
No.
obviously he's had a very great experience working with stunts, and then obviously became a director since then. So I just think that like it kind of just depends on what your approach is, you know? I think what frustrated me about this movie is that their attempt at having at development is just do flashbacks or characters explaining things about themselves rather than
Mm-hmm.
having them go on some, you know, arc or an arc, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think, and also too, I think these days a lot of people don't, I feel like audiences are one of two things. They're desensitized to violence. So I think we're going to see more
Sure.
people open up to R-rated movies. And I think a lot of the time studios are so worried about jumping from that PG-13 to R-rated because it's true, it's risky. Obviously, you close off a significant part of the movie audience, but at the same time, you know having more realism, so to speak. And then on the other side too, I think most of the time their their impression, whether it be writers, directors, or studios, think that hey, if we have enough good action sequences in the movie, then that can be a substitute for not having a good enough story. And that works a lot of the time. A lot of people, and myself included, depending on the movie, right? Like all of us go into a movie thinking that was super fun, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, if you were to ask me the name of a movie character like this one, you know, and by the way, not saying this one had good action sequences, but just like as an example, like I probably couldn't tell you a single of the characters' names, but I had fun watching it. So I think action movies, at least at this point in our generation, is just about having fun, you know, more than having like a good story back behind it. But, and to your point, Derek, the great ones, you know, the ones that have stood the test of time and the ones that I'm sure are going to keep coming out for years to come are the ones that have, exactly what you said, right? They had the character development, and they had the action sequences to boot, so that when we see, our favorite, you know, character going ham,
Mm-hmm.
we, we're worried for them,
Mm-hmm.
but we're also having a good time, so
Right.
it's just a matter of striking that balance. And a lot of studios, I think, just don't care about that balance. I think for them, as long as they know they have a good, entertaining enough movie and they make money, for them, they're just gonna hire really any screenwriter to put those movies together,
For
and
sure.
yeah,
And I
I
think
think
it's
I think
been
that's the
this
stage we're at.
way. I think it's been this way for a while now. Like I feel like there's a lot of different examples that we can point to of various different movies where it's just clear, right? It's like, hey, but the gun do be going boom. It really does. And when you do it enough times, once again, in their eyes, now the movie is redeemable. But to speak a little bit of what you said, Matt, I feel like the films where you can watch and take out those action sequences and watch the rest of the build, right? A great example of this, in my opinion, although it's not an action movie or build as an action movie, is The Godfather, right? Like all the
Mm-hmm.
moments that led to those pinnacle moments
Mhm.
made that actual moment of action
Mm-hmm.
interesting and compelling to watch. If you are not
Mm-hmm.
getting to that place and then we end up just fighting, okay, well it's gonna look cool, right? You're spending enough
Mm-hmm.
money to make it look cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I find generally I've recently honestly, I haven't even really been a fan of or watched all the John Wick movies because of that same exact reason. And I just think action movies in general have been going down this path for the last, I don't know, 5 6 years in my opinion, where
Yeah.
the substance is the fun, when in reality it's like what makes the fun of those movies so fun is when it's actually rewarding in that way. This kind of just felt like on top of um, us having so many different questions about what's going on. Once we got to the action, it's like, oh, this is the part that's supposed to be good, and this shit sucks. Like, with all due
Right. Right.
respect, once again, when multiple people hit the same finisher of I'm gonna grab this gun and put it underneath your neck, like
Yeah.
at a certain point, once it happens for the third time, it's like, okay, well, is this the militia's signature fucking move? Like, is this
Mm-hmm.
the way you are taught
Mm-hmm.
to fight? I don't get it. But yeah, be
Yeah.
better, you guys. Make us care.
Yeah, and see that's the thing. Like I think there are excuse me, great examples of action films that have a through line, that have great development in their characters. So for example, The Town, that one was amazing. Um I would even go as far as to say the 007 films, Daniel Craig's iteration. I thought the development and the connection for all of those films, excuse me, was there. I think it's possible to do action films with development and a great storyline and still give us that action. I don't think you have to
Mhm.
sacrifice story for action, because like you can see plenty of examples of how that's done. Marvel before this phase did it exceptionally well. I think you see that with video games. You talk about The Last of Us, right? You see a lot of action in that game, but the story is there and makes you care about
Mhm.
those characters and care like what happens to them. And then like if they were to die, it's like, oh my god, right? So like I think you can do it without sacrificing. I just think that they like a lot of producers or studios or directors just do not care. And I felt like with this film, it was like that as well, where it was just like Zack Snyder just did not care. I don't
Yeah.
want to hear another thing about another cut from him.
Right.
You know,
Right. Right.
like put out what you want to put out. Like if the R-rated version of this movie was what he initially wanted to put out, put that out. Why are you like putting out what you can't like what you don't want to put out, right? So if there was an issue with DC for the Snyder cut of Justice League, get it. They're overbearing, right?
Mhm.
DC was overbearing in that situation. But you're gonna sit here and tell me that Netflix was trying to do the exact same thing with you? Look at all the films that Netflix produces. Are you going to sit here and tell me that you cannot do an action film the way you wanted to do it? Look at Extraction as an example. The first one, the second one was trash, but the first one was amazing.
Yeah.
I, like so,
Sicario was a
I'm
good examples too.
Sicario is another example.
Mhm.
Yes. Why is it that we have to go down? We have to accept this template of action being like just this one-dimensional story. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying
Yeah.
that. And I think like as an audience, we shouldn't support films like that. I think as an audience, we shouldn't support filmmakers like that. Because if that's what you're gonna do, then it's just you're just wanting to get money, which this is a business, right? Get it.
Mhm.
But you should want us to want to more. Like if you make me want more of your story, I'm automatically gonna spend my money to go see your work. Like that's not even a question. Jordan Peele did that. Right now, this last movie, I don't know what the hell that was, but you know, but with his first two movies, it made me want to go see his movies.
Hmm.
Like it was like, okay, if I see his name attached to a project, automatically I'm watching it. It's not even a question, right? So I think we just have to like filmmakers as a whole have to stop with this laziness, especially when you felt like during the strike that this could possibly be taken away from you, or you're not going to be able to do what you want, like what you love to do for a long time. Like I think that should be a jump start to say, hey, all right, let's put our all into this. Let's not be lazy with this. Do what you want to do, but do it like you actually care about it. Not that you're trying to just get the money from your projects and like what they're gonna make in a box office and winning awards and stuff like that. That shouldn't be the only thing you're thinking about. You should actually put out a product that people care about. You know what I'm saying? So like I just hope that filmmakers, any filmmaker that's actually watching this, thinks about that when they're going ahead and producing something, because the next generation of filmmakers coming up, if they look at something like this, they see this template and they're saying, okay, we don't really have to develop anything. We just have to show a couple of scenes where people are fighting, shooting, and we've got a box office hit. That's lazy as hell, man. I like, and
Hmm.
that's the one thing I would love for us to get away from as filmmakers. Get away from that way of thinking, like only thinking about the money. I thought we all got into this kind of thing about for the art of it, for the love of the art itself, and development is a part of that. Story development, character development is a part of that. It's not just about shooting an action sequence. I know this Heat, the 1990 I think four film with Robert De Niro and Val Kilmer, Al Pacino, that had amazing action sequences. But guess what? Had a great story.
Collateral as well.
Collateral as well.
Hmm.
It's not like this is a foreign thing. Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah. And
Sorry I
you
had to
would
go on
think,
that
like you
rant, but
said, no,
No, not at all.
you would think that would be the first and foremost thought, because at the end of the day, like you said, you're telling a story, right? So you want the
yeah.
story you're telling to be good.
Yes, sir.
I don't get it, and I think it's only appropriate that we segue from that to giving our star ratings, because I know I've been lenient, but yeah, there's not many redeeming qualities on this film, and even the ones that I was reaching for don't make this a high one. So out of our five, I'm going to be giving a 2.5 real issues. And I like this more than any of you guys. But my reason for giving it a 2.5 is I think I'm interested in seeing the second film. I think if we see the extended cut, and maybe there is where the story is. Maybe all of it got stripped away here, and that's why we couldn't watch it. But not at all am I excited or interested in watching an extended cut after watching this. But I think as far as the eye candy goes, right, I thought it was compelling to a certain extent. And I think there are some things that were set up for part two that I think I would be looking forward to getting answers to. I know you guys probably aren't gonna agree, but I go 2.5. How you feeling?
Derek, you want to go? You want to go first?
Oh, all right. I'll give it a one. I'll give it a one. There's nothing about this film that made me like want to see it again, and that's another thing too. Like replay value. Is there replay value with this movie? I don't see it.
No, no.
No, so I'm good on it.
Yeah. Um.
5, right, Matt? 5.
Yeah. Five out of five for wasting my 2.5 hour
Yeah,
life.
not
Or
gonna
two and
get
a half
that
hours of my
back.
life.
Nah, bro.
No, I think I'm at a two. I think I'll put it this way. I think this movie accomplished one thing, and it was it being the worst movie I've seen in 2024. And funnily enough, this is the first movie I've seen in 2024. So I
Yeah.
think, honestly, the bar can only be higher. So if anything, I actually think in hindsight, I'm actually grateful to have watched this movie because now I can look forward to ones that are better. Obviously, no disrespect to Zack Snyder or anything, but it's just wasn't a great experience. And if there's one thing I do want to touch on real briefly, it was the visual effects. They were not good either, and I was very close to going lower on the score because of it, but I think we'll end it there. We'll end it there. We'll end it there.
I love how as this show goes on, we all agree that there's more things we could sit here and bitch and moan about. Like legitimately,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff that we haven't even really scratched the surface on that bothers me, even now. But nonetheless, I think it's clear we are all on the same page on this one. I think we need
Do
to
a part
consider
two.
whether or not, yeah, no, I was gonna say we need to consider whether or not part two is actually a feature on the show, or maybe we
Mm.
do like a maybe we do like an honorable mention feature presentation, right? That's like
Yeah.
Yeah,
20 minutes long.
we'll do our
And
2 hour
we say,
director's cut.
hey, the first one sucked, but this one sucked even worse. Our director's cut. Yeah.
That's
Goddamn.
hilarious.
But
Yeah.
I gotta say, if there's anything positive after all of these bad tastes left in our mouths, it's that we are starting 2024 off on the right foot. God damn it! It's great to be back with my guys on Realish, and it sucked that we started with this movie, but
Yeah.
we're gonna be coming to you guys with quality, uh, analysis and thoughts on all of these different films that we're going to be watching either retrospectively or as they come out in 2024. So make sure you're locked in, make sure you're tuned in on all the platforms as we mentioned earlier so that you get a firm idea, right, of where we're going to continue to head for Realish for the rest of the year. This was a fun introduction to our 2024 year and it's only going to get bigger and better. So make sure once again that you're following us at OTS Media on OTS Media Co. on YouTube. And most importantly, right, make sure that you look forward to all the awesome things we've got coming at OTS. But Realish is going to be in for a big year you guys. I'm really excited to continue breaking down a lot of different feature presentations this year and looking forward into the future. So before we get out of here, guys, we're going to go around once again, just remind the people where they can find you and if there's any closing remarks you have. Why don't you tell us, Matt?
Sure. Gonna be Matt underscore T29 over on Instagram. Derek, I promise one of these days I will make the move to Facebook.
He's heard this many
But
times, trust
but
me.
I'm not gonna tell you when. I'm just gonna announce it, and then you'll be like, really? But yeah, I think so grateful to be back with you guys, man. And obviously very grateful to the viewers that we have for showing us the love and support. For I think the past 2 years now, we've been at it, we've been doing this, and I think it's really great to get back to the swing of things again. I love you guys so much, man, and I'm just grateful to for you to be part of my lives, not only doing this, but just being the guys that you are, man. And I look forward to another great year. It's going to be really, really great, especially with all the movies coming up, but also just great, getting a chance to share this experience. I feel like this is the once in a lifetime experience to do, and I don't take it for granted. So I appreciate you guys so much.
Look at Matt
Yeah.
trying to get us all emotional. God damn it.
Love you
Derek, why
guys too.
don't yeah, I love you guys
I
always. Never
love you
forget it.
guys. Yes, yes, yes. So okay, you can follow me at Derrick underscore OTS. That's DERRICK, the black way to spell it. Um, I want to say I want you guys to be on the lookout. Um, Pay attention to the OTS page. We have an announcement that's coming out pretty soon that I'm excited to share with you guys. So please, like Chris said, follow at OTS Media Co. all social media platforms and OTS Media on YouTube. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and the notification bell. But yeah, we'll be announcing something that is that's been in the works for a little bit, and I am looking forward to sharing that with you all. So please be tuned in for that.
Hey, he got me pumped because I don't even know what he's tipping his hand at, man. So I'm excited. I got something to look forward to. Make sure that you're following me at Negrong MMA on TikTok, as well as the site formerly known as Twitter, now known as X. You can also find me as well on Instagram at Chris Negrong _. And yeah, just reach out like Matt was saying. We're really appreciative of you guys and all of your thoughts, right? So we're really excited to see how we can better serve you, right? If there's something that you want out of these episodes, there's something you're interested in, please let us know. We would love to cover those things. And I'm sure we have a lot of, once again, retrospective films and or TV shows that we're going to be looking at throughout this year on top of new stuff. So there's just always something to talk about here on Realish. But with all that being said, my popcorn's done. I don't know about you guys. I hope you guys all have a great night, and we will catch you guys very soon with a good movie. Peace.
Peace.